Aristotle had this saying. He said that the roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. And that's a great quote, because the roots of education are bitter. Like, not everybody wants to read a book. Certainly fewer people implement the learnings from the book. Taking one personal finance class in high school, I think it's got a lifetime value of $1 million. If you think about the ability from one personal finance class of just underspending your income, I think that's got to be worth $1 million over your lifetime because of the money you don't waste. There's this wonderful thing they're doing in the United States at the moment. For every newborn in the United States, the government will give $1,000 to invest in an index fund. And so with this knowledge, what if as a parent you contributed $100 a month? After 50 years, you get to, this will blow your face off. I'm Lloyd James Ross, seven-figure investor and entrepreneur, and I've helped thousands of business owners and professionals turn financial stress into success. If you're stuck in old money habits, overwhelmed by investing, or unsure where to start, this is for you. I'll give you the mindset and strategies to take control, grow your wealth, and achieve financial freedom. It's time to make your money work for you. Taking one personal finance class in high school has a lifetime benefit of roughly $100,000. What an interesting piece of data that is from CNBC. Do you think it's true? What do you think? This is by Jessica Dickler. She wrote this article. And the objective of the article is to explain to you the real power of financial education. Is that true? I think it's untrue. Taking one personal finance class in high school, I think it's got a lifetime value of $1 million. Because if you think about the ability from one personal finance class of just underspending your income, I think that's got to be worth $1 million over your lifetime because of the things that, or the money you don't waste over time. And if you happen to have taken two finance classes instead of one, the first one being money management, the second one being investment, an investment class, then that, without a doubt, it's worth $1 million because taking just those two classes of managing money and investing have yielded us over $1 million in our life in net worth for sure. Like, it's what helped us create our first million, but others too. Some of the things that I learned in some of the former books I read when I was younger, I know others that have read the same thing and taken that one class and transacted it into $1 million in savings and then investments. You know, they've bought real estate, they've bought stocks, they've bought an ETF, they've been able to put more into their superannuation and pension, and it's created over $1 million of net worth for them. So I think it's worth a lot more than $100,000. Without a doubt, I've had students who have read my book, Money Buys Happiness and Money Grows on Trees, these two first books, and implemented the lessons from them. And one of them earns over $100,000 a year in passive income just alone. So that would compound to be millions and millions of dollars. So I do think that it's not just one, it's certainly the one class, depending which class it is, but it's not just the saving of the money. It's the compound effect of what you do with the money. And which means if you don't take the class, then what's the cost of it? You know, like if the benefit is, if what she's saying is correct, taking one personal finance class has a lifetime benefit of $100,000, and I'm saying really $1 million, then what's the cost of not taking the class? Certainly $100,000 cost, isn't it? So it's fascinating for me was that when I was coming up, I was in my early 20s or mid 20s, I took a program called the CFA Charter, the Chartered Financial Analyst Program, and it's the hardest financial exam you can take in the world. It's like 10 subjects of like financial statement analysis and business statistics and equities and bonds and fixed income and so on. And it's like, you get all these books sent to you like this, huge pile of them. Self-study, 6 months for the first level, and it's a 6-hour closed book exam on anything in those books, and brutal. And then every exam after, there's only 3 levels, and every exam after level 1, when you pass it, and the pass rate's 27 to 30%. And when you pass level 1, they only offer the exam on level 2 and 3 once a year. So if you wake up on that one day and the exam's on and you're sick, wait a year. It's terrible. And so self-study too, so you have to sit there. I remember I sat there 20 hours a week studying in my own house when I was living in Dubai. I'd sit there in my room studying, and my roommates were off. One of my roommates was in Brazil, he was partying, and I remember I thought to myself, is this going to pay off? And I often thought about something like this, like, what's the cost if I don't learn finance? What's the cost to me if I don't understand certain things? Now, you don't have to do the CFA Charter, but certainly without a doubt, educate yourself financially and give up that time. It was a sacrifice to do it, but I knew later it would pay off massively. And for me, I mean, it's got to be worth tens of millions of dollars by doing that. So I knew it sucked to learn. Like Aristotle had this saying, he said that the roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. And that's a great quote, because the roots of education are bitter. Like, not everybody wants to read a book. Certainly fewer people implement the learnings from the book. But how many people are foregoing the personal finance class in high school or any time in life for that matter? Like, again, students of mine that come in there in their 40s and 50s, even them learning the teachings of basic money management, the principles of investing, and how to make extra money. It's so powerful. There's this really great couple that I've been mentoring for about 3 years, and they came in and learned how to make extra money and put all of it away and invested it. And they just clipped past $100,000 in their portfolio from scratch. And I taught them to use a vehicle to make extra cash outside their jobs. They then put that away and invested it. That's compounded to or created 100,000. And now they're only in their late 30s. So that will compound to over $1 million in their lifetime. And isn't that interesting? Like, educating yourself one time and understanding those things. I guess you could say they took 2 classes, because one was how to make extra money. The other one was how to compound it and grow it and multiply it. So those 2 classes, critically important. My younger sister's doing the same thing. My mum's done the same thing. A lot of my family members, if not all my close family, are doing the things that you can learn in a simple personal finance class. And I don't know why it's not taught at school, because the power of the knowledge is where the money comes from. It's not necessarily just the money itself, it's the implementation of the knowledge. Just quickly, if you're ready to take control of your finances but feel stuck on where to start, I have a solution. My book, Money Buys Happiness, simplifies investing and wealth building with practical steps to help you achieve financial peace. Get your copy via the link in the show notes, and let's get your money working for you. Now back to the episode. There's this wonderful thing they're doing in the United States at the moment. President Trump is putting, I don't know if he's signed an executive order for it, potentially, but for every newborn in the United States, the government will give $1,000 to invest in an index fund when they're born. Now, that is interesting, because from 0 to, say, the age of 65 years of compounding in the S&P 500, for example, at 10% per annum, if it continues that, which it has since 1957 on average, $1,000 would turn into, I don't know actually what it would turn into. Should we do the numbers? Let's do the numbers. I'd be very interested to know. Like, I think this is where the knowledge of the compound effect or compound interest is super important. And this is what I mean by the knowledge. So I'm showcasing to you right now the knowledge. This, by all accounts, this could be a personal finance class that you may have missed at school. So we take 1,000. Here we go. $1,000. I'm just going to pull up a simple compound interest calculator. I go in here and I go initial deposit, 1,000. So when you're born, and we'll do zero extra deposits. Just pretend you don't add anything to it, and you're reinvesting the dividends, right? So frequency annually, weekly, doesn't really matter. There's no deposit. Compound frequency monthly, annually, years, 65. I don't think it goes to 65. Oh, it does. Oh no, it caps out at 50. Sorry. So we're not going to get a true. This particular calculator caps out at 50. But let's say, just argument's sake, we'll know what 50 does. And we can calculate the next part. We can do it in 2 parts. So check it out. So if you're born in 50 years without any extra, this is assuming you're not adding any extra to it, $1,000 over 50 years turns into, at 10% annual return compounded, $145,000. Okay, so 145x your money. Pretty good. 145x your money. Pretty awesome. Now, I said 65, not 50. So now we take the 145 as the initial deposit, 145, 1, 2, 3, and we do 0 extra added to it. Then we do 15 years at that same rate to give us the final number. $645,000. Isn't that interesting? I know it's in future money, it's not today's money, but $1,000 into $648,000. That's amazing. So 645x your money. Think about that. So a newborn is 1,000, and if it compounds at that rate for the next 65 years, so it's done that for the last 70 years. So let's assume it's going to repeat. That's 645x your money. And imagine if you just did this one personal finance class with me, and I said, listen, if you've got $1,000 and you have a newborn. Like my buddy Morgan was just in here on a podcast episode. If you haven't go and watch that episode, if it's out yet, go watch it. I'll be speaking at Dreamfest at his event there. Come and hang out with us. And we also have a Mind and Money event, 3 days. Come hang out with us for 3 days. He and I run that together. It's a business we have. It's exciting. Come along, right? My mentorship students get that in their mentorship package. Anyway, I'm off track. If he just had a brand new baby 2 weeks ago, right? And so with this knowledge, it's like, well, now I know this. Why don't I put away $1,000, right? He put away $1,000 obviously for his child and doesn't touch it. And at 65 years of age, they get $645,000, subject to a few things. That's great. But now, what if, this will be interesting. What if, as a parent, you contributed, so let's go back to 1,000, a zero, and you contributed, let's say, what's something reasonable? $100 a month? Let's do that. $100 a month. After 50 years, you get to, this will blow your face off, $1.8 million at $25 a week. So $100 a month. You just start with 1,000. Your baby's born, $1,000. Put 100 in per month, and then we're not finished yet because it's 65 years. So we get rid of that. Keep adding 100 if you want, but now we go to 1.8 million for 100 a month still for another 15 years. Now I don't know if you'll still be alive or not when this happens. This is the number, 8 million. So you can see the lesson is not just in the 1,000. That's the first step. That's the first lesson. The second lesson is adding a little bit to the snowball as it goes consistently for 65 years. Now, $100 a month is not unreasonable. It's $25 a week, right? It's the same as like it's your daily coffee. But I'm not saying give up your coffee. I don't want any hateful comments about giving up coffee. Just find the money, right? Like, how do I find the money, Lloyd? I'm broke. I'm just trying to teach a lesson, right? Stay with me. This is a pretty powerful lesson. So there you go. That's the answer. So 8 million, starting with 1,000. That's the power of one personal finance class. So let's say this has been the personal finance class and you've come across this podcast, you've seen the caption or YouTube, and now hopefully you want to share it with someone and say, hey, there's this guy on this podcast on YouTube and who doesn't like Bitcoin, just let that go. And he's teaching us the compound effect of investing into, let's say, an S&P 500 index fund as an example. We just use that example here. I'm not suggesting go and do that. But that's what Donald Trump is doing to brand new babies in the United States. You can do the same thing with your own child. But if you just added that extra 100 a month, it's 8 million, provided we get 10% compounded returns over the next 65 years. And all we can do is surmise and assume that we're going to get a similar level of compounding over the next 65 years. And of course, we can't see the future that far ahead. How AI will change things, we can't tell. But wouldn't it be nice to start with 1,000 anyway and put 100 a month away anyway? And so when your child even finishes school or turns 30 or, gets married or whatever, imagine if they had an extra 100,000 or 250,000 or even $1 million at some point in their life. It doesn't have to be 8, but what if it was $500,000 at some point? What that would do for them. And they just think how small that is, $1,000, and 100 a month. And of course, when we have our first child, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for sure, without a question. I'm not going to start with 1,000. I'm going to do 5,000, and it may even be 10, to be honest. And I'll put 10 in there, or 5 in there, and just sit it there. And I'm going to add 100 a month. Boom, 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 boom. Can you imagine what that's going to be worth? And it's not to give it to them, but it's like future planning is so much easier to prevent problems than cure the problem. And I think $1,000 down and added small amounts is so much more powerful over time than saying to them, hey, you're older now. I've got a little bit of I've got this inheritance you can have. It's like, Mom, Dad, I'm like 70. You're 95. You just die. I'm 70. Like, my life's over. Well, not over, but it's like, so I think it's better to plant the tree for them at the start and have them sit under the shade than try and give them a tree when they're 70 and say, hey, here's the shade, sit under it now. It's like, well, a lot of my life's transpired. I'm not suggesting you need to do that because children need to go through hardship themselves to become the leaders they need to become. But be nice to even show them that you did that. That'd be cool. Imagine that story. My parents are so insightful. They watched this podcast episode once with this guy in a black top, and even though he didn't like Bitcoin and stuff, they sent it to me, and I did this thing, and they did this thing for me, and now they're just amazing, and I've learned this. Imagine that cool story. You know, that's a legacy you can leave for them because of the knowledge you're getting from actually just giving up 10 or 15 minutes to listen to me talk about the power of this. So it is without question that personal finance class isn't just costing you $100,000. By not doing and educating yourself financially, it's probably costing you more like $1 million over your life. And it's definitely costing your children the potential, as we calculated exactly here using some assumptions, it may cost them $8 million by not taking the class. So share it with a friend, hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this, and of course, come and slay me in the comments. I like the savage ones. And of course, if you've enjoyed it, come and leave me an encouraging comment or a question you have about this lesson. I'd love to interact with you. I'll reply to all the comments on here and on Spotify. And of course, I hope you've enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening to Money Grows on Trees. If you enjoyed the episode, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and subscribe to us on YouTube so you never miss an episode. And if you're serious about building wealth, make sure to check out the links in the show notes and follow me on all social media platforms at Lloyd James Ross for more. See you in the next episode.